verdict that echoed wrong. Hey, night listener. Tonight, we enter the shadows. Dim streetlights bleed amber onto the wet pavement as courthouse doors creak open. Rain needles the windows like Morse code from another world. Somewhere behind you, footsteps echo off the marble, but when you turn, the hallway is empty. You linger at the back of the courtroom, where the wood is warped and the silence feels permanent. The air still carries the scent of old paper, stale breath, and freshly extinguished lies. A jury of strangers delivers the truth like it's just another Tuesday. Not guilty. The words clang like a dropped gavel in your skull. And then you see her, the victim, in the photograph, propped up beside the judge, glossy, posed, already dead. But her eyes, they're alive, and they're staring right at you. Everyone applauds, defense grins, prosecution exhales. You just sit there, because you know something they don't. He did it. You saw him that night. You didn't mean to, but you saw him. You told yourself you weren't sure. Told yourself doubt was stronger than memory. You lied. To them, to yourself, to her, and she's still looking at you, like she knows. You stand. Your shoes scuff the floor too loudly. No one notices, because in rooms like these, everyone's already halfway out the door. You pass by the defense table. He's there, the accused, acquitted now, free. He nods at you, too calm, too clean, like someone who's practiced innocence until it fit like a tailored suit. His lawyer makes a joke about the bar. Someone laughs. You don't, because his smile has a scar now, a thin, pale line stretching from the corner of his lip to his jaw. And you remember the last time you saw it. That night, the alley behind the pharmacy. You turned too late. He was already walking away. You saw her on the ground. You saw her fingers twitch, and his shadow disappear. You did nothing. Not nothing. You walked away, same as him. And now, you both got what you wanted, except for her. She got silent. You walk down the courthouse steps. Rain masks your sweat. You want to call someone, anyone. But who do you call when justice already closed its doors? You pull your phone from your pocket. Cracked screen. One unread message. Unknown number. No subject. You tap it open. There's no text. Just an image. A zoomed-in shot of her courtroom photo. And this time, her eyes are bloodshot. Someone altered it. But why? And how did they get your number? You glance around. The parking lot's nearly empty, except for a black sedan, parked under a dead lamp. Someone sits in the driver's seat, waiting. Watching your paranoia perks up like a dog hearing its name. You pocket your phone, step forward, then stop, because you realize something. The photograph, it's not just edited, it's different. In this new version, there's a shape behind her shoulder, blurred, tall, male, and if you squint, no, it's not him, it's you. The rain sharpens. You duck into your car, lock the doors. You grip the wheel like it might confess first, because something inside you knows you knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. As you drive away, you check your mirror. The black sedan doesn't follow, but the eyes, they're still with you. The photograph, no one noticed. The image won't leave you alone. It sits in your mind like static buzzing, flickering, insisting. You park on your street, but don't go inside. You stare at the lit windows of your apartment like it's someone else's life playing out behind the curtains. The phone screen lights again. Same sender, no name. This time, the photo has changed. Not the woman, not her eyes, but the background. There's a new detail you hadn't noticed before: a painting on the courtroom wall, half obscured by shadow. Something in the gold frame glints. You zoom in, enhance. At first, it's nothing, just a vague smear of figures, but then you see it. One of the shapes in the background matches the silhouette from the altered photo. Broad shoulders, lean frame, an upturned collar. It's not just you in her photo. You're in the painting too. You close the app, lock your phone, then unlock it again. The message is gone, not deleted, vanished. You rush inside, flick on every light in the apartment, check the windows, the locks, the peephole. You're alone, but you don't feel alone. There's that sensation again, like something's just left the room. A cold spot, a breathless second of absence. You throw your coat on the floor and grab your laptop. You pull up images of the courtroom press photos, trial footage, media snapshots, frame by frame. You hunt, and there it is, the painting, real, hung behind the jury box, a baroque courtroom scene, 12 men and women seated in judgment, one figure in shadow, standing near the edge of the painted frame, the same silhouette. You dig deeper. Museum records, city archives, building renovations. The painting's title, The Silent 13th. No listed artist. Installed 46 years ago. Never removed. Never questioned. Until now. You reach out to an archivist. Fake name. Burner email. You ask for details on the figure in shadow. They reply within the hour. There is no 13th figure. The painting shows 12 jurors only. Anything else is your reflection. You reread that last line, your reflection. You go back to the image, enhance again. The silhouette has a faint glint where a face should be. Not a face, a camera. Someone photographed the painting through glass, and your reflection ended up in the art. But that's impossible. You weren't near it. You were seated 10 rows back. You never stood beside the jury box, unless you did. Unless memory has started to bend like glass too. You pace, then pause. Your reflection, but in someone else's photo. Someone who knew where to stand, where you'd appear. That means they were there, watching, waiting, planning, and if they saw you, they know you lied. They know what you saw that night. They know you saw him and said nothing. You open your closet. There's a box you haven't touched in months. Trial notes, clippings, jury statements, all of it. You flip through them until you find it. A contact sheet from the crime scene evidence logs. Item number 42. Photograph recovered from victim's bag damaged. The printout is faded, smudged, but even through the blur, you see it. A photo of the accused, not a mugshot. A candid is arm around someone cropped out, but the edge of a scarf remains. It's floral, red. You've seen it before. You leap up, dig through your coat closet again, pull out the box you didn't know you still had, trial memorabilia, Exhibit A duplicates, archived trash, and there it is. A court-issued sympathy pamphlet with her picture on the cover. The victim, same scarf, same flower pattern, and that's when your stomach drops, because her eyes, her infamous, piercing courtroom portrait eyes, aren't just directed at the camera, they're directed past to someone standing just out of frame. And if that's you in the reflection, then she wasn't just accusing the man on trial, she was accusing you. You sit, hands trembling. You remember your testimony. Did you see the defendant at the scene, the lawyer asked. No, you said. But you did. Not clearly, not completely, but enough. Enough to destroy a man, and you let him go free. Because the truth, The truth would have taken you with him. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. Your phone buzzes. New message. Same unknown sender. This time, just 2 words. Look closer. The door you forgot to lock. You don't remember locking the door. You don't remember opening it either. But now it's ajar. Just enough for the hallway air to slip in sharp, cold, metallic. You stare at it from the kitchen, Nick. It's breathing. Something's wrong. Something's shifted. You reach for your phone. The message still glows on the screen. Look closer. You walk toward the door and close it slowly, pressing your ear to the wood. No footsteps. No voices. Just silence, the kind that buzzes inside your skull when your instincts know more than your eyes. You throw the deadbolt, but the feeling lingers, like you've already let something in. You sit again. Rewind. Look closer. You open the photo once more. Her scarf, the reflection, the shadow behind her shoulder. You zoom into the edge of the frame, and that's when you see it. A key hung on the wall, nearly out of view. A single antique key on a nail. Brass. Worn. You would have missed it until now. But here's the thing, you've seen it before. It's hanging in your apartment, above your desk. You got it at a thrift shop. Or at least, you thought you did. Now you're not so sure. You rush to the desk and grab the key. Hold it in your palm. It's identical. Same etching. Same scratch on the teeth. Is it a coincidence? Or is someone reconstructing your past? One object at a time. You sit on the floor. Key in one hand. Phone in the other. Scroll your messages. Nothing else from the stranger. You open your voicemail. Empty. Except one new audio file in the deleted folder. Timestamp 2 hours ago. You don't remember getting a call. But you press play. White noise. Then a click. A voice. Whispering low. Distorted. Mechanical. But clear enough to feel real. She looked at you because she recognized you. Just like I do. You drop the phone. Your heart's a metronome in overdrive. Because it wasn't a random phrase. It wasn't a threat. It was a fact. The woman. The one who died. You didn't just see her that night. You knew her. Not well. Not by name. But your memory tugs like a loose thread in a courtroom curtain. You saw her once, months before the murder. Outside a late-night diner. You were coming off a bender. Head buzzing. Wallet empty. She was crying. Sitting on the curb. Talking on the phone. Her voice cracked on a name. I told Liam. He said it wasn't his. Liam. That was the name of the man just acquitted. So he did know her. And she did have a reason to confront him. You remember her face now. Pale under the streetlight. Tired. Too young to be so familiar with disappointment. You walked past her that night. Said nothing. Because it wasn't your problem. Now it's all your problem. You dig into your old hard drive. Find the folder marked trial notes. Inside saved screenshots. Scanned exhibits. Press photos. You scroll past images of the victim. Courtroom stills. Her apartment after the murder. Police photos. Crime scene reports. And there it is. A mirror. Broken. Shards on the bedroom floor. But it's not the mirror that makes your skin crawl. It's the handwriting in lipstick across the frame. Not her lipstick. Not her writing. Words. Angry and rushed say it. Say what you did. You pull up her autopsy report. No signs of suicide. No signs of struggle. Cause of death, blunt force trauma. Time of death, 14 a.m. That same night, you were out. Alone. Drinking. You can't prove it. But worse, you can't disprove it either. What if your memory has holes? What if someone is rearranging your guilt like furniture in the dark? What if you've been the suspect all along? Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. You knew, but pretended you didn't. You grab the key again, turn it over in your palm. A number is etched faintly on the base. You freeze. Apartment 402. That was her apartment. You check your lease documents. You've never lived in 402, but 5 years ago, your ex did. You visited a few times, stayed over once or twice. Nothing serious, but her neighbor back then, the woman who was murdered. They were across the hall from each other. You slam the laptop shut because something clicks into place. This isn't a stranger targeting you. It's someone who's been watching you for years, tracing your footprint through forgotten visits, passing glances, and things you swore were unimportant. They're reconstructing your guilt, and they're almost done. You hear a thump in the hallway, footsteps, this time definitely real. They stop outside your door. A pause, then a single knock. Just one, enough to tell you you're not alone. The photograph that wasn't taken. You don't answer the door. You don't even breathe. Instead, you inch backward, one slow, silent foot at a time, until your back hits the wall beside the fridge. You count to 10, then 20. Nothing. No second knock. No retreating footsteps. Just absence. The kind that fills a room like fog. Thick, low, deceptive. When you finally move again, it's toward the peephole. The hallway outside your apartment looks exactly like it should. Beige wallpaper, faint flicker of a dying overhead bulb. No sign of anyone. You open the door a crack, just enough to slip a piece of your soul through it. On the welcome mat, there's a single envelope. No name, no postage, just your address, written in jagged block letters with a fine black pen. You bring it inside, hands trembling. Open it. Inside is a photograph. It's not a photo you remember taking, but you're in it. You're standing at a payphone, wearing a jacket you haven't owned in years. Your back is to the lens, but there's no mistaking it. It's you. The timestamp on the bottom corner. Renee, the night of the murder. The payphone is beside the alley where she died. Your mind buckles. You didn't think you were there, but the photo says otherwise. Or does it? Something's off. Your shadow in the photo, it's pointing the wrong way, as if the light source was behind the camera, not above you. And then it hits you. The photo is doctored. You examine the image pixel by pixel. Under your desk lamp, there's a faint, too sharp outline around your figure, like you were cut out and pasted in. And there, just behind the booth, is another shape, faded, grainy, but undeniably human. The more you look, the more you realize it's not about you. It's about what's behind you. You pull out the original folder of trial exhibits again. You scroll back through scene photos, testimonies, press leaks. There's one image from a traffic cam a block away from the alley. It shows a silhouette, a tall figure in a hood. Time 2:10 a.m. The same figure that might be in the background of the payphone photo, which means someone went through the effort of recreating the scene with you in the foreground. Why? To frame you or warn you. You check the envelope again. There's a second sheet of paper inside, handwritten, no greeting, just a sentence. Her sister remembers your voice. You sit down hard, because now the memory floods back. The diner again, that night, when you passed the crying girl on the curb. You did say something. You offered her your phone, called someone who won't hang up. You'd said she declined. You never thought of it again. But if she'd mentioned it to her sister, that voice, that line, that presence, it means you're real to them. And maybe they've been hunting for that ghost ever since. You want to run, But run where? Who do you explain this to? The police already closed the case. The man accused was acquitted. The system moved on. But someone didn't. You stare at the photograph again. The key from the last section still sits beside you. The one marked 402. A coincidence. No such thing in this story. You pick up the key, stare at the timestamp 11 a.m. You flip the photo over. There's another note scrawled on the back. You were there. Start acting like it. You pause. Let that accusation settle in. You were there. Not you did it. Not you saw it. But you were there. And now someone wants you to admit that. Not in court. Not to a jury. To yourself. Because this isn't about justice anymore. It's about control. You leave the apartment. Take the stairs. Step into the night. The rain stopped. But the pavement still gleams like a mirror no one asked for. You walk 3 blocks in silence to the old payphone. The one from the photograph. It's still there. Rusting. Tagged in graffiti. Long since decommissioned. But the booth hasn't moved. And there, on the side panel, you find something taped to the glass. A Polaroid. Old, discolored, but fresh enough to matter. It shows your front this time. Same timestamp, same angle, but your eyes are closed. And you're holding something in your hand. You can't make out what until you see it again. The edge of a photograph. The photograph in your hand. The wind picks up. You yank the Polaroid off the glass before it blows away. Hold it under the yellowed streetlight, as if the dim glow might offer clarity. But the photo only deepens your dread. Your hand, your real hand, is holding a photo of you holding a photo. A recursion of guilt. A visual loop. You squint. There's enough detail to catch a flash of color, red and floral. The scarf again. She's in that photo. The victim. Standing beside you. Or maybe just behind. It's hard to tell. Your posture is slouched. Like you're hiding from the world. Or maybe from her. The timestamp again. Hamsaste. 11:90 a.m. But this time, your expression is different. Mouth slightly open. Eyes shut. A wince. Maybe. Or a prayer. You whisper to yourself. Why would I be praying? No answer. Just your own breath. Fogging the glass of the phone booth. You pocket the Polaroid. Palms cold. And that's when the public light above the booth clicks off. The alley plunges into shadow. You freeze. You listen. Footsteps. 2 beats behind your own. You turn too fast and there's no one there except a white envelope taped to the other side of the booth. You missed it when you arrived. You peel it free. Inside a courtroom sketch. Not a photograph. A drawing. Done in charcoal. It shows you seated in the jury box. You weren't a juror. You were a witness. But in this image, you sit among the 12. And your eyes in the sketch are wrong. They're hers. You drop the envelope. Back away slowly. The sketch flutters in the wind. Caught in the street's wet breath. You want to scream. But your voice is gone, buried under questions. Why is someone doing this? How did they get these photos? How did they know what she looked like when she died? You walk. Faster now. Every step feels like someone else's decision. You don't remember turning the corner. But suddenly you're outside your old apartment. The one from before the trial. Before you moved across the city. Tried to start over. The building's different now. Gutted. Condemned. Windows boarded. But the mailbox still has your name etched faintly in metal. You press your fingers to the edge of the slot. Something inside rattles. You pry it open. Inside, you find a cassette tape, wrapped in an evidence bag, labeled Exhibit 42B Not Admitted. You take it home like it's radioactive, set it on the table, stare at it for hours. Do you even have a player? You dig through drawers, closets, boxes, nothing. Then you remember your neighbor, the old one with the vinyl collection and the paranoia. He's got a tape deck. You knock, no answer, but his door is unlocked. A bad habit or a trap. You let yourself in. Inside, it's a shrine of dust and whispers. A stack of VHS tapes, recorders, shortwave radios, clocks that all tick out of sync. You find the cassette deck, plug it in, pop the tape inside, hit play, silence, then static, then her voice, clear, unmistakable, unforgiving. If you're hearing this, you know I didn't slip. I wasn't drunk. I didn't fall. I was pushed, and someone watched it happen. A pause, then you knew, but pretended you didn't. You saw him, and now someone sees you. The tape ends with a sound that isn't static. It's breathing. You rewind it, replay it. The tape wobbles like it's too tired to keep repeating the truth. But it does. Same words, same accusation, same echo. You saw him. You sit back, the room spinning. You remember that night now. The alley, the argument, the figure walking away, calm, hands in pockets, and you, frozen, behind the glass of the diner window, too afraid to move, too afraid to help. And now, someone is dragging you back through it, through the photographs, through her voice, through the key marked 402, because someone's trying to tell you you're not just a witness. You were the last chance she had, and you looked away. The phone rings. You lunge for it. No caller ID. You answer. Silence. Then, a voice familiar but warped to go to room 402. Bring the scarf. Click. Deadline. You open the box again. The one with the trial memorabilia. You never took anything from the evidence room, except that scarf. You told yourself it was for closure, but it wasn't. It was for guilt. You hold it now, and it still smells faintly of rain and perfume. You fold it carefully, put it in your coat pocket. You don't lock your door, just close it behind you, and head out into the night, toward the truth, or what's left of it. Room 402 still remembers. The hotel lobby is empty, save for the slow drip of a leaking ceiling and a receptionist who won't meet your eyes. You sign in under a false name. Though no one asks, you ride the elevator alone, walls lined with cracked mirrors that reflect too much. Each ding feels like a countdown. 4th floor. You step out. The hallway smells like bleach and dust. Wallpaper peels back like skin on old fruit. You hold the scarf in your hand. It's damp now. Or maybe your palm is. Room 402 stands at the end of the hall, door ajar, waiting. You pause, press your ear to the door. No sound, no breathing. You nudge it open with 2 fingers. The room is dark, but not empty. Someone's already been here. You step inside. The first thing you see is the photograph. It's tacked to the mirror above the sink. Same image as before, but the time stamp is different. Chutti, M, and now she's smiling. That can't be right. You pull it down, flip it over. Words written in blocky, uneven marker. We see what you saw. Below it, a single red fingerprint. Too small to be yours, too fresh to be hers. You hear a click. Your head whips around. It's the closet, slightly open. You cross the room in 4 steps. Fling it wide. Empty. Just an old radio, sitting on the floor. Portable. Battery operated. It crackles to life. No one touches it. He didn't fall. You pushed him. You stumble back. The closet light flickers. Something dangles from the ceiling hook. Not a rope. A tie. A man's tie. Striped. red and blue. His tie, the one he wore on the night of the verdict. You touch it. It's still warm. You sink into the only chair in the room. Its cushion sighs under your weight. The scarf is still in your hand. You realize you're clenching it so hard your knuckles ache. You stare at the door, expecting it to open. It doesn't. But something else changes. The ticking. A clock you hadn't noticed begins to move. Not digital, old-fashioned, analog. Its hands click from 2212 to 2013. The same time on the photograph. You rise. The bed is unmade, pillows tossed, sheets wrinkled, but no sign of occupancy, except for the glove. It rests on the pillow like a relic. Leather, black, one glove, men's size. You pick it up. Inside is a piece of folded paper. You unfold it with a tremble in your fingers. The handwriting is yours. I saw him. I did nothing. You drop the glove like it bit you. Step back. Your heel hits the radio. It blurts static again. Then a recording. It was never about the truth. It was about control. The phrase you've been hearing in your head. Now aloud. Played back. From where? When did you ever say that? You sit again. Mind spinning. Maybe someone found your notes, your therapy sessions, the one you never finished, the one where you admitted you saw her die and said nothing. Or maybe you talked in your sleep and someone was listening. There's a knock at the door. Just once. Firm. You don't answer. The knock comes again. Quieter. You approach. Peer through the peephole. Nothing. You open the door. A manila envelope lies on the floor. Inside a court transcript. A page marked in red pen. Your testimony. Line 27. I didn't see his face clearly. Next to it, underlined, highlighted, circled in red lines, stacked like bricks. You're the wall. You scan the hallway. Still empty. But you're not alone. Not anymore. You can feel it now, like a hum behind the wallpaper. A whisper in the wires. Someone is inside the room. Not flesh and blood, but memory, intent, vengeance. The scarf slips from your pocket. You don't pick it up. Instead, you stare at the mirror, the one with the missing photo, and you ask yourself, what if you've been the suspect all along? You don't answer, because the mirror fogs, and 3 words are written on the glass, slow, steady, deliberate. You were there. You bolt from the room, heart pounding, breath shallow. Down the stairs, no time for elevators. Out into the night. The rain doesn't cool you. You don't care who sees you, because someone already has. Someone who knows more than they should. Someone who's rewriting your past. One exhibit at a time. And now, you have no idea what's real anymore, but the guilt that's always been real. And maybe, just maybe, someone else thinks it's time you pay. The girl who never spoke in court. You thought silence was protection, but silence has a way of circling back with teeth. You don't sleep that night. You can't. The radio static still buzzes in your ears. The photograph still burns in your jacket pocket. And those 3 words on the mirror, you were there. You see them, even when you blink. You spend the morning walking side streets, abandoned overpasses, old parts of town no one renovates because the ghosts would complain. Eventually, your feet find their way to her place. The girl from the trial, the younger sister, the one who never testified. You don't know her name, only the address you once read in an officer's notepad. Back then, you dismissed it as background noise. Now, it feels like fate. You wait across the street, watch the windows. At 11:47 a.m., she appears, slim, still, moving through her kitchen like her bones hurt. She has her sister's eyes, but none of her fire. And then you see it a photograph, clipped to the fridge with a red magnet, the same one from your envelope. Only this time, your face is visible. You don't know how she got it, but she has it, which means she knows. You knock 3 times, not because you're ready, because you're out of places to run. She opens the door halfway, doesn't ask who you are, just looks at you like she's been expecting this for years. You open your mouth to speak. She raises her hand. No lies, she says, only names. You step inside. The apartment is clean, sterile almost, like someone's erased all signs of grief except the ones nailed to the walls. She offers you tea. You accept out of habit. The kettle shrieks like a warning. You sit across from her at the tiny kitchen table. Between you, a single envelope, the same kind that showed up at your door. She pushes it toward you. Inside, another photo. This one is new. From last week, it shows you leaving your apartment. The timestamp reads 4:03 a.m. A red circle drawn around your hand. You're holding something. You squint. It's the scarf. Hers. The one you found. You've been watched, she says. Her voice is brittle, cold, like glass about to crack. I didn't send the photos. You whisper. I know, she replies. You don't ask who did, because the real question is why. She gets up and walks to a locked drawer, pulls out a small, hard-bound book, a diary, not hers, not her sister's, his, the man who was tried and found innocent, the man the jury freed, the man everyone forgot. She slides it to you. Her hand trembles. You open it. Page after page of cramped writing, dates, thoughts, names, and on one page, a list, 5 names. Yours is third. The word next to it, watched. Next to another, warned. Next to a 5th, gone. You stare at the 5th name, a woman's name. You don't recognize it. You ask. She disappeared 6 months ago. She says. Same pattern, photos, notes, then silence. Your heart slows, not with calm, but with dread, because this isn't personal anymore. It's procedural. Someone is following a system, and you're the next step. She speaks again, low, controlled. There's a tape, she says. You stare. It's old, analog. He mailed it to himself from prison. Who the man they freed? The man who didn't kill her. She looks you dead in the eye. He says you did. You stand. Too fast. The chair scrapes the floor like a scream. I didn't. She doesn't flinch. But she doesn't nod either. You feel the blood leave your fingertips. You knew, she says, but pretended you didn't. That sentence slices deeper than any knife. Because it's not wrong. Maybe you didn't kill her, but you saw. And silence has weight. Silence is complicity. You try to ask where the tape is, but she's already closing the door. You'll find it, she says, then locks you out. You stand there in the hallway, envelope in one hand, diary in the other, the ticking of the apartment wall clock echoing in your ears. Time's not running out. It's running back. You don't go home. You walk straight to your old storage unit, the one you never opened after the trial. You unlock it. Inside, forgotten boxes, jackets, old case files, and in the corner, an old cassette player. You stare at it, then reach for the diary. The back page has a number, a string of dates, and next to one, playback. You load the tape, press play. At first, nothing. Then static, then a voice. Male, calm, too calm. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. The recording ends. You rewind. Play again. Same phrase, just that. Over and over. A whisper. A sentence, a warning, or a reminder. You lean against the concrete wall of the storage unit, eyes closed, breathing shallow, and for the first time, you whisper the question that's been echoing in your bones. What if I've been the suspect all along? You open your eyes. On the concrete wall, scratched in faint black pen, we never left. The missing fifth name. The wind feels colder when you leave the storage unit, like the world now knows what you've hidden. You drive without direction. Your hands are steady, but only because your thoughts aren't. There's a weight in your chest, not grief, not guilt anticipation, like something's about to knock. You stop at a red light, glance at the diary again, that list of names. The fifth name, Lena Voss. You don't know her, but the word gone next to her name, it makes your pulse stutter. You tap your phone, search the name. Nothing recent, but then an archived news story. Woman missing. No leads, no family. The date 7 months ago. The last known sighting. A courtroom. The same trial. The same defendant. You scroll down, and there it is. She was a courtroom sketch artist. The photo shows her seated near the back, drawing. Your heart knocks against your ribs. She drew him. She probably drew you too. And now she's missing. You follow the link trail, click after click, until a name jumps out. Cambridge Safe House Gallery. A private art exhibit. No public listings. Invitation only. But you remember something the defendant's attorney? His last interview mentioned that gallery. He'd donated anonymous legal sketches to their archive. You smell the smoke of connection, and you follow it. The building's tucked in a brick alley. Downtown, no sign out front, just a brass buzzer. You press it, a pause, then click. The door unlocks. No cameras in sight. You climb the narrow staircase. It creaks like it remembers things it shouldn't. At the top, a woman greets you, thin, sharp. Her smile doesn't reach her eyes. "What are you here to see?" she asks. You hesitate, then say the first honest thing in days, "I'm not sure." She leads you to the back room. No windows, just soft gallery lighting and rows of framed sketches. You spot one instantly, your own face, drawn in charcoal, watching the trial, expression unreadable. Your breath catches, because in the sketch, your hand is circled in faint red, and you're holding a scarf. But you didn't have it then, did you? No, it wasn't yours. And yet, here it is. She watches you. You recognize it. You nod slowly. "Who drew these anonymous?" she says. "But we know who submitted them." Before she vanished, you swallow. "Lena?" She nods. A moment passes. Then she adds, "You're not the first to come looking." "Who else?" She shrugs. "One was a cop. One said she was her cousin. One didn't speak at all. Just stared at your sketch for 10 minutes. Then left." "Did any of them ask for the scarf?" Her eyes darken. "You mean this?" She reaches under the counter and pulls out a small evidence bag. Inside the scarf, the real one, not a sketch. You stare at it. Same color, same blood-stained edge. "Why is that here?" You whisper. She says nothing, just walks over to the sketches and flips one over. Tape on the back. Inside a cassette, another one. Label reads, "Lena, 3 days before." Before what? Before she disappeared. You take it. She doesn't stop you. As you turn to leave, she says, "It was never about the truth. It was about control." You freeze, turn back, but she's already moved on to the next guest. You return to your car, slide the tape into your player. White noise. Then, "If you find this, I didn't mean to see what I saw." He knew I drew it. The scarf in his hand, the face in the mirror, and now I think he's following me. Or someone is. Not him, maybe, but someone like him. You think you know who the monster is, but what if we've only met his echo? Then silence. You rewind, replay. She says it again. His echo. You drive in silence, her words echoing like footsteps behind you. You take the long road home, avoiding familiar turns. When you reach your apartment, the door is cracked open. You pull your keys slowly, push the door wider. Inside, no signs of a break-in, but something's wrong. You feel it before you see it. On your kitchen table, a single page, a courtroom sketch. This time, you're alone in the room, but in the mirror behind you, drawn faintly in charcoal, there's someone else. Too tall, too dark, too familiar. You blink, and in real life, the mirror on your wall has a crack. You sit, quiet, breath shallow, and somewhere between panic and numbness, the truth crawls out. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth, it was about control. You close your eyes and still feel watched. The note behind the mirror. You stare at the crack in the mirror like it's an accusation. A single jagged line slicing through your reflection. Not enough to shatter, just enough to divide. You move closer. The crack runs from top right to bottom center, bisecting your eyes. Half of you calm, half of you guilty. You raise your hand to touch it, and that's when you notice the edge of paper wedged into the frame behind the glass, barely visible. Your fingers tremble as you slide it out. It's folded twice, old, yellowed, but the ink fresh. It's not typed, it's handwritten. Just 7 words: I saw you leave that night too. Your spine chills. There's no signature, no date, just that line. Your brain scrambles, trying to fit the voice to the handwriting. The loops are delicate. It could be hers, the victim's, or Lena's, or someone else entirely. You flip it over. Nothing, just that same heaviness. You've been watched longer than you knew. You open the hall closet, pull out the old shoebox where you keep scraps of paper, receipts, envelopes. You find a postcard Lena once sketched on, sent to the courthouse with her name on it. You hold it next to the new note. Different handwriting. Not hers, but close. So close it feels intentional. You remember the court clerk? The way he handed you the final files, the look he gave when no one was watching. You find the envelope from that day, his signature on the seal. It matches the note. The clerk. No, that doesn't make sense. He'd be too obvious, wouldn't he? Unless that's the point. Unless he wanted you to know. You replay the trial in your head. The moments no one noticed, the in-betweens. Like when the defendant turned to look behind him. He wasn't looking at the jury. He was looking past them. At someone specific. Row 3, seat 5, the clerk's seat. Was that their signal? Were they working together? You open your laptop, search for court clerk records. Nothing unusual. Then you think bigger security footage. Not from the courtroom, from the hallway. You log into an old case repository you used to consult on. Use credentials you were never supposed to keep. One password still works. You dig through folders, find trial date, time code, click, the screen glitches, but you get audio, footsteps, muffled voices, and then a shadow moves just outside the courtroom. The timestamp 2 minutes before the verdict. The silhouette leans in, whispers something to the clerk. The clerk nods, and the figure walks away. You freeze the frame. Enhance, too grainy. But the profile, it could be him, or his echo. Another email pings your phone. Subject line, tick, tock, no sender. You open it. Inside is a voice note. Just 3 seconds of a ticking clock. But underneath it, A photo, your apartment, taken from across the street, tonight, from the angle. It had to be the rooftop. You race to the window. Nothing, but there's a smudge on the outside glass. You lean out. A faint handprint. You slam the window shut. Your heart climbs your throat. You're not just being watched now. You're being hunted. And whoever's behind this, they want you to know. You call the only person you trust, an old friend in IT who used to help track online threats. He answers on the second ring. You tell him everything, the emails, the voice file, the courthouse footage. He doesn't laugh, doesn't doubt, just says, "Get out of your apartment." Now, they're baiting you. This isn't a scare tactic, it's a setup. They're counting on you to chase answers. You hesitate. He adds, "It was never about the truth. It was about control." You grab your coat, your keys, your fear, and as you step into the hall, your neighbor's door opens. Mrs. Delaney, kind, quiet, almost invisible. She says, "Late night walk." You nod, but then she adds, "It's always the ones who stay silent the longest." You freeze. Her eyes don't match her voice. You force a smile. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. You hit the street like a fugitive. And this time, you don't look back. Because if you do, you might see her, the victim, not in a photograph, but standing there, watching, and you're not sure your heart can take it. You pull out the paper again. I saw you leave that night too. Not a threat, a statement, a mirror. Because deep down, you know, you knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And now it's your move. A face in the courtroom sketch. The bench outside the city library creaks beneath you, damp from rain that hasn't yet dried. The street lamp above flickers like a dying pulse. You chose the spot on purpose, crowded enough to avoid being cornered, quiet enough to think. The folded note is still in your pocket, a weight heavier than its ink. You pull it out again, flatten it across your lap. I saw you leave that night too. You whisper the words aloud, as if saying them might summon clarity. It doesn't. It only makes the night colder. A breeze shifts the newspaper beside you. You weren't reading it, but the front page catches your eye. Courtroom sketch. Acquitted man reacts to verdict. You stare at the charcoal stroke's broad shoulders, neatly parted hair, the infamous smirk. The sketch captures more than the camera ever did. Emotion, arrogance, something else. Your gaze drifts to the background, just scribbled shadows for filler. Observers blurred into charcoal fog. Except one face isn't blurred. One face is detailed. Glasses, narrow chin, wide eyes, a small mole on the neck. You've seen that mole before. On someone you thought was unimportant. You fish out your phone, scroll to an old contact photo, an admin from the courthouse. Her name escapes you, but her face doesn't. You overlay the photo with the sketch. It's her, deliberately drawn. Why would the artist focus on her unless she mattered? You make a note, find courtroom artist. You don't have a name, but you know the paper. You call the editorial desk, use your old freelance credentials. The receptionist hesitates, then puts you through. A gravelly voice answers. "I sketch what I see." He says, "Did you know her?" you ask. Referencing the admin in the image, he goes silent. Then, "She asked me to draw her clearly. Said she wanted him to know she was watching." He hangs up before you can ask who him was. You lean back against the cold stone. The pieces don't fit, but they're real. The sketch, the note, the altered photo, all of them left deliberately, like breadcrumbs in the fog, and every clue leads you back to the same place, the night she died. Your phone buzzes. Another email. No text this time, just an image attachment. You open it. Your hallway, shot from floor level. At your door, the doormat is turned. Something small lies beneath it. A key. You rush home, ignoring lights, ignoring people. Your thoughts spiral. Is it bait, a message, or worth access? You reach your floor. The hallway is quiet. The doormat is askew, just like the photo. You lift it. Nothing. No key. You kneel. Inspect every inch. Still nothing. Then you realize the photo wasn't from tonight. It was older, from before the trial. Your doormat is new. You replaced it last month. Whoever sent the image has had eyes on you for weeks, maybe longer. You press your hand against your door. It's locked, untouched. You step inside, lock it behind you, and then you freeze. Your desk drawer is slightly ajar. You never leave it that way. Inside an old photograph, black and white, time-stained. It shows two young boys. One is you. The other is the defendant. You drop into the chair, your heart stuttering. You haven't seen that photo in years. It was taken the summer your families vacationed in Vermont. You thought it was lost or buried. And now it's back, not just found, planted, with a note on the back. 4 words, written in the same hand as the mirror message. You knew him first. It hits you like a whispered scream. This isn't just about guilt. It's about connection, about a web stretching backward through years you've chosen to forget. You didn't just see him that night. You recognized him. And still, you said nothing, because silence is easier, because complicity wears better than confrontation. But the ghost of her eyes, of her judgment, is louder now. You thought the trial would end the nightmare, but maybe the trial was just the beginning. A loud bang at your door. You leap up. Silence follows. You inch closer. Look through the peephole. No one, but taped to the outside. Another courtroom sketch. This one is different. It's you, sitting in the defendant's chair. You knew, but pretended you didn't. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. It was never about the truth. It was about control. And someone out there wants to remind you, your silence isn't justice. It's the perfect alibi, but not forever. The audio that shouldn't exist. You leave the sketch on the table, face down, as if that'll stop it from staring back. But it doesn't matter. It's already burned into your mind. Your own face, cross-hatched in ink, lined with guilt. The caption below, handwritten in red pen, the wrong man walked free, and so did you. You sit in the dark, let the silence grow heavy, and then you do the thing you promised yourself you wouldn't. You open the old laptop, the one from the days before the trial, before the verdict, before the corpse. You haven't touched it in nearly a year. Its screen glows like an old bruise. Dust spills off the keyboard. You click through archived folders, one labeled Trial Backup. Inside, more folders, most empty, but one isn't. A single file, WAV format, titled Only July 17, confroom2.mic. You don't remember this recording. You didn't make it, or you didn't mean to. You press play. At first, just static, then voices. 2. One is hers, clear, calm, controlled. You remember that tone. She used it in court. When she described the man she said ruined her life. But here, she's not in a courtroom. She's whispering. He said if I spoke, he'd bury someone else. Then silence. Then the other voice, low, steady, familiar. It's your voice. You don't remember the words, but they're yours. Then don't speak. We can fix this another way. You slam the laptop shut, heart racing. The voice still echoes. You, telling her to stay quiet. Not a confession, but a decision. Not guilt, but complicity. You reopen the file, rewind, replay. Her voice again, then yours. But something in the background shifts. A noise, click, whir, slide, a camera shutter. Someone was taking photos in the room. And then a third voice. They won't believe her, but they might believe you. You don't know who the third voice belongs to, but it chills you. Not just because it's calm, but because it sounds like it's in control, and it never speaks again. You copy the file to a drive, then stare at the screen. The file properties say it was created at 2:12 a.m., the exact minute she was last seen alive, which means she was with you and someone else. Your phone buzzes, an unknown number. You let it ring out. A voicemail arrives seconds later. You play it. It's static at first, then a single sentence. Whisper soft. You told her to vanish, so she did. You drop the phone. You step into the kitchen. Try to breathe. The window's open. You don't remember opening it. A folded newspaper sits on the sill. Today's edition. Your photo again. This time, circled in red. You flip to the page. Courtroom column. The byline, Naomi Birch. Your stomach drops. You know that name. She covered the trial, sat in the front row every day. You thought she was just another reporter. Now you're not so sure. You grab the laptop, scroll your inbox, find an old email from Naomi. Months ago, you never opened it. You click it now. There's no body text, just a subject line. You're not the one on trial, yet. You reread it 3 times, and that's when it hits you. This story never ended, because it never started with him. It started with her, the victim, the voice, the vanishing. And if someone is still watching, still sketching, calling, photographing, whispering, then it means they don't want your guilt. They want your memory. They want you to remember what you did, or what you refused to see, because the jury may have found him innocent, but the victim's eyes, they were looking at you. She's not the only one. Missing. The morning creeps in gray, but it doesn't feel like morning. It feels like an interrogation light pressed against your chest. You haven't slept. Can't. The courtroom sketch still lies on the table like a quiet accusation. Your phone remains where you dropped it. Screen dimmed, but not off. You don't dare touch it again. Instead, you scroll Naomi Birch's digital archive, every article she ever wrote. The headlines spiral into obsession. Doubt cast on key witness, the woman who vanished after testifying. Trial by silence. When the system looks away, you click on one. Halfway down the article, a photo. It's her again. The admin. The woman in the sketch. The one who asked to be drawn clearly. Name, Lena Acker. You blink. You haven't seen her since the trial. Maybe not even then, at least. Not clearly. But Naomi saw her, interviewed her, quoted her in 2 stories. Except when you search public records, Lena Acker doesn't exist. No birth certificate, no employee ID, not even a parking ticket. You open the door, head to the courthouse. Everything feels too loud, too bright, too hollow. Security waves you through like always. Familiar halls, same dust in the air. But something's different. No one says her name. You ask the clerk at the front desk. Lena Acker. A shrug. A puzzled look. No one by that name works here. You describe her face. He frowns. I think I've seen her before, but not recently. When around the trial. Then Nothing. You check old sign-in logs. She never signed in. You ask for building access records. She never had a badge. She moved through the building like a ghost. A ghost with perfect timing. A ghost who knew exactly when to be seen and when to vanish. You return home. Check the flash drive again. Play the WAV file once more. Now, knowing what you know, the third voice sounds even more wrong. It's not familiar. It's intentional. A voice filtered, maybe processed, synthetic. You run it through an analyzer online. Results pop up. Voice contains masking frequency, likely digitally altered. So someone didn't just want to be heard. They wanted to be remembered wrong. You open Naomi Birch's email again. Hit reply. You type, "Tell me about Lena." No response. You send another. "I know you saw her. I know she's not real. Call me." Still nothing. You try the newsroom. They say Naomi took leave 6 weeks ago. Unusual for her. No return date. You dig deeper. She filed her last story the day after the verdict. Headline, "Innocence is a verdict, not a truth." And then nothing. No social posts, no bylines, no sightings. 2 women, gone. One testified. The other told the story. Both saw something. Both disappeared. You open the drawer with your old case notes. Buried under transcripts is a photo Naomi once took for an article. You didn't notice it then. But now there's a reflection in the glass behind you. Not hers, not yours. A face, sharp cheekbones, neutral expression, glasses. You hold it beside the courtroom sketch. It's Lena. She was behind you in the photo, watching. Not a random moment, a placement. You were being observed long before the trial ended. Your phone buzzes again. Blocked number. You answer this time. Silence. Then, she didn't vanish. You just stopped looking. Click. Dead air. You call back. Nothing. You pace the room. Replay the trial in your head. Every witness. Every inconsistency. Then, a new memory slips through the cracks. One night, after the courtroom emptied, Naomi asked you a question. Would you lie to protect someone if you thought they were innocent? You laughed it off, said truth always matters. But now, you wonder if she asked you, or herself. Back to the audio file. You play it at half speed. This time, you hear something new. At the very end, the sound of a door closing, then a whisper, barely audible. "I'm leaving this for whoever survives us. Not you, not her, us." Like this was bigger. Like you were part of something you didn't know you joined. The victim's eyes didn't just accuse, they warned. And now, that warning's come due. The message, hidden in the eyes. You stare at the photo again, at her reflection in the glass, her expression so eerily neutral. It becomes almost provocative. She knew she was being seen. She meant to be seen. Not by everyone, just by you. You zoom in. Grainy pixels shift. Her eyes, behind those glasses, are looking not at you, but slightly past. You follow her line of sight in the image. She's staring at a man standing in the corner of the frame, partially out of view. Just a shoulder, a sliver of a face. You never noticed him before, but now that you do, you feel your stomach hollow, because the figure she's looking at, it's the defendant, the one the jury freed, the one Naomi wrote about obsessively, the one she swore was lying. And in that moment, Lena wasn't watching you, she was watching him. You pull out the original sketch again. Her hand had written a note in the corner. Truth isn't in testimony, it's in the eyes. It sounded poetic before. Now it sounds pointed. You open the courtroom video archives. Fast forward to her testimony. She walks in, calm, Sits, swears in, begins to speak, but you pause the video, rewind, watch her before she sits. Her gaze flicks to the defendant, then you, then the camera, then she blinks once slowly. You wouldn't notice it if you weren't looking. You rewind and watch again. It's not random. It's code. You go frame by frame. She repeats the blink pattern 2 more times, each time just before saying something important. Blink, pause, speak, blink again. You look up nonverbal communication signals. A slow blink repeated intentionally can mean this is not the truth. A whistleblower's micro gesture, her entire testimony encoded. You check the timestamps of each blink. You write down the times. Each one ends in a specific number. 17, 38, 42. You think it's meaningless until you compare them to her witness statement document. You notice those same 3 numbers appear at the start of specific paragraphs. You read them now, line by line. Each reads oddly neutral. But when you isolate just the last sentence of each, your skin tightens. Together, they form a message. He knows, but he won't speak. Watch him, not me. You sit back. You're not watching a trial anymore. You're watching a performance. One designed to survive, even when the speaker couldn't. Naomi knew it. She saw it. She followed it. She vanished. So did Lena, because someone else decoded the message before you did. You scan the trial transcripts again, search for anomalies. You find a paragraph in Naomi's article quoting the defendant directly. He'd been cold, controlled, but one line stands out. He said, "Some people disappear because they choose to." At the time, it sounded dismissive. Now it sounds like an alibi. You pull up phone records from the trial week. You find something odd. A burner phone number called Naomi's cell 3 times, twice the day before she went dark. Once the morning she vanished. No voicemail, just calls. The number's inactive now. You run it through a database. The only ping a voicemail left for you a year ago. You'd ignored it then. A blank message. No ID. You still have it. You listen now. It's distorted. But one line crackles through. If they say it's over, it means it isn't. Your window rattles. You startle. But it's just wind. Or maybe not. You approach the glass. Carefully. Tape holds something against the pane from outside. A photo. Glossy. New. You peel it free. It's Naomi. Eyes wide. Mouth mid-sentence. Shocked. Not posed. Behind her. That same figure from Lena's gaze. Same shoulder. Same silhouette. Only this time you can see part of the face. And it's not the man the jury acquitted. It's someone else. Someone with access. Someone close. You. You drop the photo. Because this isn't a warning anymore. It's a mirror. Every alibi has a shadow. The photo lands face down on your floorboards, edges curling upward like it's bracing for judgment. You don't pick it up right away, because now your hands are trembling. Because if the man in the photo isn't the defendant, if it's you, then everything shifts. Every doubt, every twist, every vanishing starts pulling inward toward a center you didn't know existed. You reach for the courtroom surveillance footage. Not the trial videos, the side cameras, the hallway feeds. You load them chronologically. Search the timestamp from Naomi's final published article. She had been seen leaving the courthouse at 6:07 p.m. And that day there is footage. You watch as Naomi exits the building alone. Then, 17 seconds later, a figure steps out from a side stairwell. Neutral blazer. No urgency. You don't remember following her that day. But the camera sees what you refuse to. You don't follow in a straight line. You wait. let a group of paralegals pass, then trail her 2 blocks behind. She never looks back, but as she stops at a crossing, she tilts her head just slightly. Her eyes scan something behind her. You. You shut the laptop. The buzzing in your head won't stop now. The gaps in your memory, the half excuses. All the nights after the trial, you woke up with the feeling someone had whispered in your sleep. Not to you, about you. You grab your coat, storm out into the night. You don't lock the door behind you, not because you forgot, because you don't think anyone's following you anymore. You go to the newspaper's old building. It's mostly empty now. Naomi's desk is covered in dust and long dead post-its. But under her keyboard, taped upside down, is a USB stick. It's labeled in black marker, fail-safe. You plug it into the newsroom computer. There's one folder, no password, just 3 files. Interview Lena full, wave, sequence eyes, text, eyes wide open. JP, you open the audio first. It's Lena, her voice calm, intentional. You let it play. I only lied to protect the truth, not him, you. That's the part no one gets. He wasn't the danger. He was the decoy. The trial was a distraction, but you already knew that. You just needed someone else to say it first. You paused the recording. Rewind. She said you. The second file, sequence, eyes, text, is full of numerical strings. It's a timeline, matching video frames, courtroom times, specific blinks, but this time the numbers are reversed, like they weren't meant to be read. They were meant to be decoded backwards. You input the reversed strings into the surveillance footage search bar. It leads to a never-seen clip. Naomi meeting Lena in a parking garage. No audio, but you can read Lena's lips. He's not the villain. He's the proof of how easy it is to erase the truth. You open the final file. Eyes wide, open. JPG. It's Naomi's press badge photo. At first glance, nothing odd, but as you scan it, you see something scratched faintly into the lamination. Everyone lies, especially the quiet ones. A phrase you've heard before, a phrase you've said before to Naomi in private. Once, drunk, regretful, she remembered. You check the timestamp on the file. It was created after she disappeared. You start to feel it now. This isn't just a frame-up. It's a collapse of perspective. What if you didn't just miss the truth? What if you buried it? What if Lena didn't vanish? She hid. What if Naomi didn't run? She left it all behind, hoping you'd follow the crumbs. You pace the old newsroom. The windows creak. A figure moves in the reflection, just your own. Or is it the air shifts? A chill you didn't invite enters the room. Your phone buzzes. No caller ID. Again, you answer. A whisper. The verdict wasn't the end. It was the beginning of your trial. You drop the phone, but the sound keeps playing. From the USB stick's speakers, Lena's voice again. I hope, when the moment comes, you choose to confess. But if not, someone will make you, and then silence. No outro music, no file corruption, just a system waiting for your response. And outside, in the fog-draped streetlight glow, a shadow waits, patient, still, watching you. The truth always leaves a trail. You stagger back from the terminal like it's burned you, but the scorch is internal, because Lena's voice isn't asking questions anymore. It's issuing judgment. And Naomi's trail wasn't meant to be followed by the police. It was meant to trap you. You look at the USB still plugged into the machine. It glows faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat, like it's alive or listening. You pull it out. Not because you're done, because you're afraid of what the next file might say. Outside, the air is soaked in electric tension. Rain hisses in soft needles. Every street lamp flickers. Every passing car feels like surveillance. You check over your shoulder more now, not because you feel watched, because you know you are. You walk fast, not home. You're not sure where home is anymore. You just keep moving, boots splashing through puddles, mind unraveling in loops. You arrive at the courthouse steps. Midnight. The building looms like a crypt that never forgets. Inside, the halls are silent, but the security guard, a thin man with tired eyes, nods at you like he's been expecting you. Doesn't ask for ID, doesn't ask why you're there, just presses a button. The archive room door clicks open. Inside, you find Naomi's badge access logs. Her last entries don't match the official report. According to the logs, she came back after hours the night she disappeared, alone, and according to a second log, someone else entered 3 minutes later. No name, just one word. Redirect. A clearance level above yours. You dig through physical archives, now boxes of evidence the court never entered. You find Lena's original witness statement. It's been redacted since you last saw it. Not by the system, by hand. Pen marks scratch out entire phrases, but something catches your eye. An imprint on the back of the paper. You hold it under the desk lamp. Adjust the angle. And there it is, words pressed faintly into the page from whatever was written before. He confessed to me before the trial. I told Naomi, she told you, if this goes missing, look at the mirror. You freeze. The mirror. You think about your office. The one Naomi used to visit when she wanted off-the-record clarity. There's only one mirror there. A thin, floor-length antique piece. More decoration than utility. But now, it feels loaded. You rush out. The guard not even lifting his head. Back in your office, the rain taps against the windows like impatient fingers. You walk straight to the mirror, stand in front of it, wait, nothing, no tricks, no false panels. But then you remember, the mirror isn't hung, it's leaned. You pull it gently away from the wall, and taped to the back is a small envelope. Your name written on it, Naomi's handwriting. You open it. Inside are 3 items. A photograph Lena in a car, eyes red from crying. A torn page from a diary not hers. A letter, folded once, addressed to the one who won't speak. You unfold the letter. Naomi's words are crisp, direct. You let them kill her story. You let them free him. But you didn't lie. You withheld. And that makes you complicit. Now, Lena's gone, and I'm probably next. But I wanted to give you one last chance. Not to make this right, but to decide what kind of silence you want to leave behind. Your heart's pounding. The photo. Lena's expression, like she knows she's being recorded. Like she knows it's her last image. And in the corner of the car window's reflection, you drop the envelope, not because you're startled, because you finally see it. You were never just a bystander. You were the final gatekeeper, the one who could have stopped it, but didn't. You look at your desk, a cracked photograph frame, the one from the trial. You and Naomi, smiling, now broken. You pick it up. A key falls out from behind the photo, tiny, rusted. Taped to it is a note. Just 3 words. One last door. You don't remember placing it there, but your fingers know it too well. The shape, the weight. You've held this before. The victim's eyes weren't accusing the defendant. They were looking past him, toward you. And now, you're beginning to understand why. The door that shouldn't exist. You stare at the key in your hand. Small, plain, unassuming, but it's not. You recognize it. Not from a case, not from evidence, from memory. 12 years ago, a private storage unit you rented in a moment of panic. Back when the case was still fresh. Back when his name hadn't yet been cleared. Back when you had reason to hide. You told yourself it was just for documents, just until the dust settled. But now, after Naomi's letter, after the photo, after Lena's eyes, you know what's really inside. And you know you'll find the truth you buried. Waiting. You drive. Rain washes the city into a blur. Every red light feels longer than it should. Every car that trails you feels like a warning. But no one stops you. Because this isn't a chase. It's a reckoning. The storage facility still stands. Same chain link fence. Same motion-activated floodlights. Same keycard pad at the gate. Your card hasn't worked in years. But when you slide it through, it clicks open. Because nothing really forgets you. Not even the things you try to forget. Unit 307, far back, end row. You pause before the metal roll-up door. The air is thick with mildew and memory. You insert the key. It turns like it's been waiting. The door rolls up with a groan that sounds like regret. Dust explodes into the air. A single hanging bulb hums to life. The light flickers, then holds. Inside, it's worse than you remember. Stacks of boxes, labeled in code only you would understand. Case numbers, names, crossed out dates. In the corner, a locked filing cabinet. Atop it, a cracked cassette player. You cross the room, trying not to inhale too deeply. Each step crunches paper underfoot. You open the cabinet, and there it is. A brown folder marked Pre-Testimony Interview, Lena R., and a second one, Supplemental Statement, Withheld. You pull them out. Your fingers tremble. Lena's original words, longer, messier, raw. Testimony taken in private, before counsel arrived. Before you edited it, cleaned it, sanitized it. You skimmed the pages. Phrases you never let into the courtroom hit you like gunshots. He threatened me after the rehearsal. Said if I opened my mouth, I'd end up like the others. There were others. You look to the second folder. Naomi's handwriting inside. Notes, conjectures, diagrams, and one printed email. Anonymous. Subject line, you're not the only one watching. The body. You cleaned it too well, but there are still stains under the varnish. It's signed with a single letter. K. You play the cassette. The whir of old tape. The static hiss of memory. Then Lena's voice. Shaky. Afraid. She's recounting the night before the final rehearsal. She mentions a man not in the official timeline. Someone who shouldn't have been there. Then your voice enters, soft, careful, reassuring her it's okay to omit details, encouraging her to focus on what the jury will believe. And then she says, you knew, didn't you, that he wasn't alone that night? And your voice quiet, almost inaudible. We all have secrets. Lena, let's not make yours fatal. You stop the tape. Everything freezes inside you. The lie wasn't in what you said. It was in what you let die unspoken. Behind you, the light flickers again. You turn. A shadow shifts just outside the unit. But when you step out, no one's there. Just the sound of tires in the rain and a thin, gloved handprint smudged on your driver's side window. You go back inside and burn the tape. Not to destroy evidence, to destroy denial. You scan Lena's full statement, digitize Naomi's notes, then you take the only copy with you, because this time you're not locking it away. As you drive, you wonder, Did the man Naomi feared, the one Lena warned you about, ever stop watching? Or is he the one who left you that envelope, not to threaten, but to test? Maybe justice isn't about courts or verdicts anymore. Maybe it's about what you do when there's no one left to lie to but yourself. The sound beneath the silence. The city doesn't sleep, it just pretends to. And you're done pretending. You sit at your desk, the digitized files spread before you. Naomi's notes organized into color-coded folders on screen. Every name, every cross-reference, every forgotten thread. You're pulling them all now. One stands out, a name that appears in Lena's original testimony and in Naomi's unpublished article. Kelvin S. Rhodes, background actor, no criminal record, no longer listed on the production roster after opening night. You dig deeper. He filed a name change order 7 years ago. Now he goes by Carl Reeves. You know that name. He testified as an anonymous witness at the tail end of the trial. Back then, you thought he was filler. Now you realize he was planted. A decoy. A pattern emerges. Carl Kelvin was there during rehearsals. There when Naomi started investigating. There the night Lena disappeared. And he was there again at the trial. Always peripheral, never questioned. Because no one ever looked at him, only around him. You lean back in your chair. It was never about the man on trial. It was about the man behind the man, the whisperer, the puppeteer. And Naomi saw it. Lena saw it. But you let it pass. Because Carl was clean. Because clean records make clean verdicts. Because you wanted to believe the mess had a bottom. Your inbox pings. A new email. No sender. No subject. The message body is blank except for a single link. No virus scan flags it. You click. A video loads. Grainy security footage. You freeze as the camera pans across a familiar hallway. Naomi's apartment. It's dated 3 days before her disappearance. The timestamp reads 03:41 a.m. You see her door open. Naomi steps out, barefoot, in a robe. She's not afraid. She's talking to someone, out of frame. Then she pauses, nods, hands them a flash drive. They walk away. She turns back toward the apartment. Then a second figure, hidden behind a stairwell, moves, follows her in. The clip ends. You pause the video at the clearest frame of the second man's face. It's Carl, or Kelvin, or whatever he's calling himself now. Same mole under his eye, same broken cartilage on the left ear, same ghostly calm. You run his new name through the system again. You find something fresh, a property purchase, abandoned house outside city limits. No utilities registered, but there's a deed. And it matches the time Naomi vanished. You grab your coat. You're not sleeping tonight. You drive. The streets slip into rural silence. No streetlights. No sound but gravel under tires and your own breathing. You turn off your headlights a mile out. Approach on foot. The house is sagging, skeletal. Windows covered with old newspaper. A front porch light flickering like it's begging to go out. But it doesn't. You step onto the porch. The wood groans, soft with rot. You press your hand to the doorknob. Cold. You turn it. Unlocked. Inside silence. No alarm. No creak of stairs. No signs of life. But there's something worse. The absence of dust. The house is abandoned. But not empty. You move slowly. Room by room. A metal chair sits in the center of the living room, facing a wall covered in pinned documents, photos, articles, handwritten notes, a web. At the center, Naomi's face. Beside it, Lena's, and then yours. There's audio equipment on the floor, wires leading to a small speaker, a cassette player, same model you burned earlier. You press play. Carl's voice comes through, measured, almost bored. They always think guilt is about what you did, but it's what you allow that festers. He laughs softly. You knew, but pretended you didn't. And that's why I chose you. You were never the hero, just the one willing to walk away. The tape clicks on, and then footsteps. Behind you, the stranger in your shadow. You don't turn around. Not yet, because part of you already knows who's there, and part of you knows it doesn't matter. You stare at your photograph on the wall, lined in red thread, a pin through your eyes, as if someone wanted to blind you to yourself. You speak first, soft, measured. I knew you'd show up. The voice behind you answers. You were always better at looking away than looking in. You turn. He hasn't changed. Same distant calm, same patient menace, same tidy haircut and deliberate stance. Carl Kelvin, whatever name he wears tonight, holds nothing in his hands. Not a weapon, not even a threat, just presence. And presence is enough. You step aside, give him space. He walks toward the photos on the wall and smiles. You kept looking for a lie, he says, but this was always about omission. You glance at the chair. Its worn leather seat, the faint impression of wrists on the armrests, like someone had waited here too long. Where's Naomi, you ask? Carl tilts his head. She left when you stopped listening. You step closer, close enough to smell him. Old cologne, dust, something coppery. Did you kill her? He doesn't blink, not in the way you mean. Your hands twitch at your sides. Every instinct trained in the academy, screaming act, detain, disarm. But this isn't a confrontation. It's a confession. His maybe, yours, definitely. You orchestrated it. You say the testimony, the tape, the missing photo, the envelopes. He nods. I set the table, but you brought the wine. A pause. I needed to know if you'd drink it. You want to hit him, but hitting him would mean letting go of control. And right now, that's the only thing you have left. Instead, you ask the one question that still matters. Why Carl smiles like you finally asked the right thing. Because silence spreads, like rot, and you've let it grow for too long. He walks to the door. You think truth is a verdict. He says, but truth is a mirror, and you cracked yours years ago. He stops on the porch, turns, leaves a flash drive on the floor, then vanishes into the fog. You don't follow. You sit in the chair, the one with Naomi's ghost in it, and you stare at the flash drive like it might burn through the floor. Eventually, you pick it up. You drive home with shaking hands. Back in your apartment, you plug it in. No password, no encryption, just one folder, labeled Victim 02, Survivor 01. Inside photos, voice memos, journals. You scroll. You stop on a video. It's Naomi. Months before she vanished. She's pale, tired, determined. She speaks directly to the camera. If this reaches you, it means he finally did it. Or maybe you did. Or maybe the difference doesn't matter anymore. You let them bury Lena's story. You let the wrong man walk. And you let silence become survival. She holds up a photograph. It's Lena, but different. Alive, older, in disguise. She's not dead. She ran because she knew someone would come for her. Maybe not the killer. Maybe not justice. Maybe just you. She pauses, but don't look for her unless you're ready to be seen. The video ends. You sit in the dark for a long time. There are no instructions, no location, No next step, only implication, only the weight of the truth you tried to bury, and the knowledge that someone out there is waiting for you to dig it up. The hunt for the living ghost. You don't sleep. Not because of fear, because of certainty. Lena is alive, and she has been watching all this time. Not silent, not gone, just hiding, and maybe waiting. The next morning is gray, not rain, just threat. Clouds like bruises stretched across the sky. You print Naomi's last photo, the one with Lena in disguise. You magnify it, enhance it. There's a reflection in the window behind her, a blurry sign, backward letters. You flip it, sharpen the contrast. The Cove Diner. You know it. Tiny, off-grid, out by Route 17. The kind of place where people go when they want to be nobodies. You backlight, a notebook, the flash drive, a burner phone, and Naomi's lighter. You drive. The road to the cove winds through woods and ghost towns. Every mile strips you down of authority, of excuses, of the voice in your head that kept saying, "Wow, you did what you could." Because now, you know, you didn't. You arrive at noon. The parking lot is empty, except for a silver van. Inside, the diner smells of grease and memories. The waitress doesn't look up when you enter, but the woman at the back booth does. It's her, older, changed, but not enough. Lena, you don't sit yet. You approach slowly, as if she might vanish if startled. She doesn't. Been expecting you, she says. Her voice is gravel wrapped in velvet. You sit. The silence between you is heavier than truth. Then she says, "You let them hang him." You nod. No excuses left. "I thought he was guilty." "You wanted him to be," she says, "because it made the world simpler." She sips her coffee, doesn't offer you any. You glance around. No one's paying attention. That feels intentional. "I didn't know about Kelvin." You say. Lena raises an eyebrow. "That's funny. Naomi did. And Naomi told you." You flinch, because it's true. "She said there was another player." You whisper. "She said the story didn't end with the trial." "And what did you do?" Lena asks. You hesitate. "Buried it. With the rest." She slides a manila envelope across the table. Inside photos, voice transcripts, bank records, Kelvin's aliases, his movement since the trial, a list of people who helped cover his tracks. At the bottom, your name. You were part of it, she says, but you can still choose what kind of part. You ask her, "Why now?" "Because he's circling back." She replies, "Naomi rattled him. Your digging cornered him, and now he's cleaning house." A pause, and I don't run anymore. You understand what she's asking without her saying it. She doesn't want protection. She wants confrontation. She wants the silence to end with a bang, not a whimper. You nod slowly. "I'll need proof," you say. "More than this. Enough to take it somewhere that matters." Lena slides over a small voice recorder, presses play. Carl's voice again. The truth is never what they want. That's why they let her burn. That's why he hung. But this time, I'll make sure everyone watches. Click. You ask, "Where did you get this?" Lena stares out the window. "He left it, like he wanted me to hear it. Or maybe he just wanted to see if I'd flinch." You both sit in silence, listening to the ticking of the diner's wall clock. You say what you've been avoiding since Naomi disappeared. What happened to her? Lena blinks slowly. She died doing what you should have done. Then she gets up, drops a key on the table. "No more shadows," she says. "Next move's yours." And she walks out. You sit there, the envelope in your lap, the key in your palm. You know where it leads. You know what waits. And you know there's no going back now, where the silence ends. The key is old, not digital, not modern, just brass and weight and history. You hold it like it might bite. There's a number etched on it, 409 room, storage unit, motel. You know the address. It's not far. An abandoned hotel by the rail yard, once the city's secret vice haven, now just rot and rumor. Exactly the kind of place where the truth goes to die. You arrive before dusk. Crows circle above the lot. The neon sign still flickers barely. Eldorado Motel vacancy. Since 2010. You take the stairs. Each step groans like a confession. At the door marked 409 you pause. You hear nothing inside, but you feel watched. You insert the key. The lock clicks. Inside, the room smells of mildew and dust, but also something older. Paper, ink, guilt. The room is clean, but not abandoned. Someone curated it. A desk lamp glows in the corner. Next to it, a cassette recorder, a stack of files, and a photograph of you standing outside the courthouse from years ago. You step closer. On the back, in Naomi's handwriting, you still have time to undo it. You sit at the desk. Press play. Carl's voice crackles through. They always say the system failed, but systems don't lie. People do. He screamed his innocence. You watched, and you blinked. A pause. But I know you now. You need a villain to feel righteous, so I gave you one. You rewind, play it again. He wanted to be caught, but only by you. There's a folder labeled Lena Protocol. You open it. Inside testimonies, hidden evidence, the real autopsy. All exonerating your brother. All implicating Carl. All dated before the trial. You choke on the weight. You weren't just complicit. You were chosen. A pawn. A proxy. A witness who wouldn't look too hard. The mirror above the desk is cracked. Your reflection splits down the center. Left side officer. Right side fraud. You hear a sound. Footsteps. Hallway. Close. You draw your weapon. Open the door. No one. Just a shadow vanishing around the corner. You follow. Down the stairwell. Out into the alley. There. A shape vanishing behind a dumpster. You chase. But you know the rhythm now. The ritual. Carl never shows himself fully. Only enough to twist the knife. You stop. Let the silence settle. And you speak. I know what you did. Your voice echoes of brick. And I know what I did. A moment of quiet. Then a voice from the shadows. Good. Then the real trial begins. You go to the police. You bring everything. The files, the photos, the tapes, the key. You confess. Not for redemption, for justice. Lena testifies remotely. She stays hidden, but her words burn. Carl is arrested within 24 hours, not with violence, but with finality. The courtroom smells like old wood and closure. Carl doesn't speak, just smiles. You testify with trembling hands. You say the words that nearly killed you. I let my brother die. The silence after is louder than any sentence. Carl is convicted, sentenced, but you know it's not over, because the verdict was never about him. It was about you. You leave the courthouse alone. Outside, Lena waits in the shadows. She nods once, then walks away. And this time, you don't follow. You let her vanish, because some ghosts don't want to be chased. They just want to be heard. That night, you go home. You light Naomi's lighter, set it on the windowsill, and whisper, I'm sorry I didn't believe you. The flame flickers, just once, then steadies. You sleep with the window cracked open. For the first time in years, you're not waiting for footsteps. You're waiting for silence. Real silence. Earned.